opportunity today. Thank you for Dr. Haruka, ENT Specialist Consultant and Estimate. Thank you Dr. Kanti Yunika, ENT Specialist Consultant, and thank you Dr. Nur Iman, Pro ENT Specialist. I will take lesson journal reading. The title is Obstructive Sleep Apnea and Asthma. Abstract, both asthma and obstructive sleep apnea or OSA are common conditions involving the adult and children population and have significant impact on the healthcare system. For the last few decades, a lot of data emerged in terms of the prevalence between asthma and OSA. The prevalence range from 38% up to as high as 70% based on the current concepts of bidirectional relationship of OSA and asthma. It is sensible to assume that treating one disorder will result in the other's better control and vice versa. This review will look into the pathogenesis of concomitant OSA and asthma and whether the first-line OSA therapy will result in better control of asthma in patients with concomitant OSA. There is growing evidence that continuous positive airway pressure CPAP in adults and adenotonsillectomy in children, which are recommended as first-line treatment of OSA, can improve their asthma symptoms. However, further confirmation is necessary with large randomized control trial to further evaluate both condition and the treatment effect. Introduction, asthma, Global Initiative for Asthma, define asthma as heterogeneous disease that is characterized by chronic airway inflammation. The typical symptoms of asthma include wheezing, breathlessness, chest thickness, and coughing that vary over time and intensity, together with variable airflow limitation. It is estimated that about 60% of asthma is heritable. For example, in a recent genome weight association studies, the ORMLDL3 or GSDMD locus on chromosome 17q21 has been reproducibly associated with childhood onset asthma. The prevalence of asthma affects more than 130 million people worldwide, with more than 40% of the world's children and 8.6% of young adults 18 to 45 years old experience asthma symptoms. Risk factor asthma is genetic, family history of atopy, allergic sensitization, cesarean section, tobacco smoke, severe respiratory virus infection, diet and obesity, and air pollution. OSA is characterized by recurrent collapse of the upper airway during sleep. The symptoms, this leads to intermittent disturbance in gas exchange and fragmented sleep, substantially reduced or complete cessation of airflow despite ongoing breathing effort. Examination OSA, the standard diagnosis for OSA is overnight polysomnogram or PSG. The disease severity is measured using apnea-hypopnea index and respiratory effort-related arousal index during sleep in combination with apnea-hypopnea index are used to estimate. The diagnosis of OSA or RDA more than 5 per hour, either with the presence of signs and symptoms of OSA or associated medical or psychiatric disorders such as hypertension, coronary artery disease, atrial fibrillation, stroke, and mood disorders, AHI or RDI, more than 15 per hour, also satisfied the criteria in the absence of symptom or comorbid. High more than 5 was a mean of 22%, ranks 9 until 37% in men and 17% ranks 4 until 50% in women reported in a recent systemic review. The prevalence of OSA in adults in Asia was reported to be 3.7% to 97.3% in another system review. The prevalence in Thailand was reported to be 15.4% in men and 6.3% in women. In children, OSA affect about 1.2% to 5.7%, with the peak prevalence between 2 to 8 years old. OSA risk factor is male gender, age, obesity, smoking, alcohol use, positive family history, increase in neck, size, craniofacial abnormalities, narrowing of the upper airway, nasal obstruction, endocrine disorder, and neurological disorder, and cardiovascular disorder. Epidemiology of asthma and OSA. Al-Harbi et al. Tried to look at a reverse relationship between the prevalence of asthma in patients with confirmed the diagnosis of OSA. Asthma was present in 230 OSA patients with a prevalence of 35.1%. Cross-sectional study was done in China to investigate the prevalence of asthma and sleep disorder breathing among school-age children. They demonstrated that OSA was significantly associated with asthma. Although there was significantly increase in prevalence OSA in children and adult population with asthma, especially in the severe group. Pathogenesis of asthma and OSA. This is direct effect in bidirectional interaction. Asthma, direct effect to obstructive sleep apnea is mechanical effect, as obstructive sleep apnea effect direct to asthma is nerve reflex, intermittent hypoxia, inflammation, vascular endothelial growth factor, leptin, sleep fragmentation. This is asthma, indirect effect to obstructive sleep apnea or OSA is prolonged corticosteroid effect, nasal disease, smoking, obesity, and obstructive sleep apnea OSA. Indirect effect asthma is gastroesophageal reflex disease or great cardiac dysfunction. Mechanical effect, the idea that there might be a natural increase in airway resistance in asthmatic as a result of reduction in functional residual capacity and expiratory lung volume during sleep, especially during REM sleep. Corticosteroid effect, the proposed mechanism of corticosteroid affect the airway include inhaled corticosteroid, cause fat deposition in and around the upper airway, narrowing the airway cross-sectional area. Glucocorticoids can induce myopathy of the airway dilator muscle, which influences the airway dilation, and glucocorticoids can worsen obesity. Nasal disease, majority asthmatic have a higher rate of allergy or non-allergenitis, and nasal polyposis, increased nasal resistance result in higher negative oropharyngeal pressure during inspiration and predispose to airway collapse. Chirakalwasan and Rux Rungtam show that nasal congestion due to allergy was associated with a 1.8-fold increase in the risk of developing moderate to severe OSA. Smoking is known as an independent risk factor for both asthma and OSA. It induces airway edema, thereby increasing the airway resistance and worsening airway obstruction. The added inflammation called thus increase the upper airway resistance and collapsibility during sleep, with worsening sleep apnea. Obesity, 10% increase in body weight increase the chance of developing moderate to severe OSA by 6 times. Obesity is also a significant risk predictor for asthma. Increasing weight causes more infrequent or more severe asthma exacerbation and more difficult to control symptoms. This is effect of asthma, OSA on asthma. Effect direct is nerve deflect, intermittent hypoxia, inflammation, vascular endothelial factor, growth factor, leptin, and sleep fragmentation. And indirect effect is gastroesophageal reflux disease and cardiac dysfunction. Nerve reflex, the increase in vagal tone during the apneic episode in OSA will trigger the muscarinic receptor in the central airway and resulting in bronchoconstriction and nocturnal asthma attack. Intermittent hypoxia in OSA, repeated episodes of partial or complete upper airway obstruction during sleep will lead to intermittent hypoxia and reoxygenation. This will cause complex oxidative stress, cascadic downstream inflammation, sympathetic tone circuits, and endothelial dysfunction, resulting in bronchoconstriction. To inflammation, Nadim et al. Concluded that those with OSA on average had higher level of systemic inflammatory marker than healthy controls when the overwhelming inflammation involved the lower airway. It could predispose to asthma and increase the risk of acute or sudden onset fatal asthma exacerbation. Vascular endothelial growth factor is a hypoxia-sensitive glycoprotein, and OSA and asthma can promote its expression. It may contribute to bronchial inflammation, hyperresponsiveness, and vascular remodeling in those patients. Leptin, the increased level of serum leptin observed in OSA, the pro-inflammatory effect of leptin suggests that this hormone might be relevant to asthma exacerbation in OSA. Sleep fragmentation and frequent arousals, which are feature of OSA, may potentially cause increasing airway resistance and blunting the arousal response to bronchoconstriction. Gastroesophageal reflux disease, the significant increase in negative intrathoracic pressure caused by upper airway obstruction can predispose to retrograde movement of gastric content. GERD may induce asthma directly by microaspiration with respiratory mucosal injury by gastric acid and pepsin or duodenal bile acid and trypsin contents, and indirectly via vagal-mediated mechanism or reflex bronchospasm. It is thought that OSA-induced acid reflux may play a role in triggering asthma symptoms. To cardiac dysfunction, the intermittent hypoxia may heighten the sympathetic activity, and negative intrathoracic pressure led to the intermittent increasing afterload of left ventricular, causing of worsening heart failure. Congestive heart failure itself has been known to worsen the asthma control by inducing airway hyperresponsiveness. Therapeutic implication. Based on the current concept of bidirectional relationship of OSA and asthma, it is sensible to assume that treating one disorder will result in the other's better control and vice versa. CPAP had been accepted as the first-line treatment for OSA. On the other hand, the role CPAP in asthma is less clearly defined, and at times it is deemed controversial. Some studies investigated in this matter were Copy et al. Used a survey questionnaire to their OSA patient on CPAP. Furthermore, the percentage of patients using rescue medication daily reduced from 36 to 8% with CPAP. And then Lifon et al. Examined the impact of CPAP treatment on the airway responsiveness of asthmatic subjects with OSA. Intriguingly, the asthma quality of life of the subject improved significantly, and then Safety et al. Reported that asthmatic patients with nocturnal symptoms who were diagnosed to have OSA and were given 2 months of CPAP therapy didn't have significant improvement. And then Wilhelminault et al. Investigated asthmatic patients with nocturnal symptoms with concomitant OSA and were treated with CPAP, and both groups there were significant reduction in terms of nocturnal asthma attack. And then Bhattacharjee et al. Hypothesized that adenotonsillectomy, the first line of therapy for childhood OSA, would be associated with improve the asthma outcomes. The results show there was a significant reduction in acute asthma exacerbation and reduction in acute status asthmatic. Clairendis Gozal et al. Subjected children with poorly controlled asthma to an overnight polysomnography. OSA patient underwent adenotonsillectomy, and the asthma was assessed. Treatment of OSA appears to be associated with substantial improvement in the severity of the underlying asthmatic condition in children. Summary, asthma and OSA are common disorders, and the concomitant presence of both conditions can be detrimental, and CPAP in adults and adenotonsillectomy in children are recommended as first-line treatment of OSA, and there is growing evidence that it can improve their asthma symptoms as well. Critical aphasia, are this study valid? Yes. Is the number sample available in number from start or to finish? Yes. Can this study be continued? Yes. Is this research useful? Yes. Is this research applicable to patients? Yes. Does this study affect patient action or therapy? Yes. In this research beneficial? Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Penny. Because I have already request by Dr. Farokah, Dr. Farokah will give first reviewer. Okay, Doctor.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nurdiman. I'm sorry. This journal is not complete. Do you repeat the problem and the mean the study? Repeat again the problem, early idea the study. And 2, Caesar operation is restrictor asthma. Why? Do you explain? And this answer. The peak prevalence OSA between to until 8 years old. Why? My question not difficult. Please, do you explain?
Okay, Dr. Penny. For the first is early
Do
ID
you
ya,
open
Dok?
introduction?
Introductory ya, Dok ya? Introduction. By the researcher to the research
Open
of the reason.
introduction.
Yeah.
In the study,
Introduction.
early idea.
Thank you, Doctor. The introduction problem the study in this journal is
The problem and the mean in the study. Do you explain? Open introduction your journal.
Dr. Handa, can you catch the question? Do you understand about the question?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. Can you try to answer?
Yes. The problem is the OSA can be effect to asthma, or asthma can be effect.
No, the question is in this journal. I think this is not the research. One research. This is the review article. You know, tinjauan pustaka. So this journal, this review, many journal, he found the researcher dikumpulkan oleh researchernya, kemudian disajikan sebagai review artikel, ya, sehingga yang dibacakan Bu Handa ini bukanlah penelitian tunggal, tapi peneliti mengumpulkan berbagai macam jurnal, kemudian direview, betul, Bu Handa, sehingga memang dari awal ini harus ditekankan bahwa ini adalah review artikel, ya, bisa dilihat juga di abjad yang di di jurnal aslinya itu review artikel, ada tulisannya di atas, paling atas, itu yang pertama yang dibaca. Kemudian dari abstraknya juga kita bisa menangkap bahwa ini adalah review artikel, bukan jurnal memang yang diteliti langsung oleh penulis, ya Bu Handa. Kemudian untuk pertanyaan Dr. Farokah di introduction itu ada tertulis, tadi sudah disebutkan bahwa reported risk factors for asthma includes genetic predispositions, family history of atopy, allergic sensitization, cesarean section. Jadi seksio cesaria SC ini berpengaruh sebagai faktor risiko dari asma. Kenapa? Gitu ya, Dokter ya?
Yes.
Ya, jadi can you catch the question ya, Dr. Handa?
Yes.
So you have to read a lot of journal because this is a review article, yeah. So why in this journal, in this review article mention about SC for risk factor for asthma? How could SC sexual cesarean be the risk factor for asthma? You have to read a lot from these references, from references number 2, number 11, and 12, right, Dr. Handa?
Yes.
Or maybe you already read before this presentation. Can you answer? Dr. Handa, is it clear?
Yeah.
Is the question clear or my voice is clear?
Yes, yes, Dokter. Maaf, terputus-putus.
Oh, I see. I can see it in your face.
Network problem.
Ya, pertanyaan yang susah jadi terputus-putus atau gimana? Iya. Ya, can you repeat the question, Dr. Handa?
Yes. Yes, dokter.
Ya.
Yes. Yes,
Tampak
dokter.
kamu nangis. Bu Handa kedengeran?
Yes, dokter.
Iya, coba diulangi pertanyaan Dr. Faroka.
Pada SD bisa mempengaruhi terjadinya meningkatkan asma. Maybe in bending to hormone, dokter.
Udah baca belum?
Udah baca belum?
Baca belum? Udah baca belum nih?
Jadi PR.
2, 11 sama 13. Udah dibayar belum nih jurnal?
Untuk referensi semuanya belum, dokter. Baru yang sebagian untuk referensi, mohon waktunya, dokter.
Ya. Oke, jadi nanti bisa di
homework ya, Dok ya.
homework, dokter. Ya, karena memang tidak dimention di sini ya, tidak disebutkan di jurnal, bukan di jurnal, di review artikel ini ya, jurnal yang berbentuk review artikel. Untuk review artikel internasional juga itu ada syaratnya ya sebenarnya ya, harus ahli, harus seorang ahli. Jadi dia harusnya mempunyai sudah terindeks beberapa penelitiannya, kemudian dia bisa mereview artikel orang lain. Jadi seharusnya dia tingkatan keilmuannya sudah lebih tinggi gitu ya, sehingga saat dia memaparkan segala sesuatu, dan harusnya tadi Bu Handa, untuk presentasi review artikel itu sangat penting tabel dikeluarin. Jadi tabel yang ada di sini itu yang paling penting. Justru tadi yang dibuat tabel itu hanya sebuah rangkuman, hanya sebuah ringkasan yang kita tidak bisa melihat data yang pasti. Tapi kalau misalnya Bu Handa melihat, coba buka tabelnya di window di Word, di PDF-nya itu ada tabel, sebentar. Tabel 1 itu dipaparkan di sini. Jadi jelas gitu untuk audiens ya, dari berbagai penelitian. Jadi bentuknya seperti ini, originalitas. Bu Handa. Bu Handa bisa kedengeran?
Ya, dokter.
Baca bibir saya saja. Ya, jadi seperti contohnya di tabel 1 ya, Bu Handa ya. Di tabel 1 ada first author, year of publication. Ya, contohnya seperti Copy et al. 2016. Dan di situ ada petikannya untuk Vancouver-nya di nomor 44, referensi nomor 44. Kemudian di situ disebutkan juga study of population-nya berapa jumlah sampelnya, kemudian durasi dari penelitiannya selama 3 bulan, kemudian primary outcome-nya. Jadi result-nya, hasilnya juga didapatkan dari apa gitu loh, dari variabel apa. Jadi severity of asthma before and after using CPAP measure by FAST score and ACT score. Itu ada skor-skor apa yang dinilai. Kemudian nilainya, hasilnya itu juga disebutkan dengan jelas di sana sampai dengan nilai P-nya gitu. Jadi sama seperti kita kayak bikin originalitas penelitian ya. Jadi bisa dipelajari bahwa review artikel di sini yang bagus itu memang justru mempresentasikan tabel-tabel itu dengan jelas apa ukurannya. Jadi maksud saya di sini adalah seperti tadi ya, apa yang dinilai, apa yang diukur, kemudian hasilnya sampai dengan P-nya berapa itu disebutkan. Gitu ya. Kemudian perbedaan dengan penelitian yang lain, dan di situ juga disebutkan penelitiannya tahun berapa aja. Jadi kita juga bisa melihat, oh ini di tahun yang terbaru, di tahun 2016 penelitian terakhir tentang asma dan OSA itu menyebutkan bahwa ini didapatkan hubungan yang positif antara antara tingkat keparahan dari asma ya sebelum dan sesudah pemakaian CPAP. Jadi itu bisa kelihatan gitu. Itu hasil yang terakhir. Tapi tahun 2007, 2005 dan bahkan yang lama ya, tahun 1988. Di sini juga ada Prof. Wilmenau yang baru saja meninggal tahun 2019 yang lalu, dan beliau adalah profesornya OSA di dunia, diakui dunia ya, orangnya ini banget ya. Nah ini juga ada bahkan sampai Wilmenau di sini tahun 1988, sudah sangat lama sekali, tapi juga disebutkan hasilnya dari frekuensi dari serangan asma setelah apa nih ya? Saya belum baca secara ininya ya, tapi di sini disebutkan dia meneliti tentang ada 2 grup yang dia teliti antara apa namanya, antara grup A ini dengan pasien obes, min AHI-nya 51 per jam, grup B orang dewasa dengan AHI 8 per jam. AHI of 8, min-nya ya, nilai rata-ratanya. Ada 16 pasien dan lain-lain. Itu di sini disebutkan secara jelas sebenarnya di tabel ini. Kalau misalnya kita mau lihat lagi, nanti di sini juga ada referensinya langsung nomor 47. Gitu. Jadi tabel ini yang harusnya dijelaskan Bu Handa. Ya, kalau mau, jadi memang untuk sebagai seorang presentan dari review artikel itu bacanya harusnya banyak banget. Gitu. Jadi yang ditanyakan Dr. Faroka seperti kok bisa ya SC jadi faktor resiko gitu ya, dan itu pembahasannya ada di mana? Mungkin tidak ada di sini karena itu hanya sebagai introduction aja, sebagai apa namanya ya, pengantar saja bahwa faktor-faktor resiko yang sudah disebutkan oleh penelitian-penelitian sebelumnya adalah itu. Namun itu juga nggak dimasukkan dalam tabel, tapi ada di referensinya Bu Handa, ada di referensinya di review artikel ini gitu Bu Handa ya. Jadi nanti kalau misalnya mau tahu, silahkan nanti buka yang ada di referensi, ada 3 referensi di sini disebutkan, gitu Bu Handa. Jadi Bu Handa bisa juga jawab ya, didn't mention in this journal, but I will tracing ya. Jadi tracing ke jurnal-jurnal yang disebutkan di situ untuk yang menyebutkan tadi faktor resiko tersebut, gitu. Ya, silahkan coba ini dibaca nanti. Jadi PR dulu ya dokter.
Ya.
Baik, dokter.
Harus lebih siap ya, dokter Anda ya. Untuk maju jurnal tidak hanya baca jurnalnya saja ya. Tadi sudah dijelaskan sama dokter Kanti. Ya. Mungkin ada tambahan
untuk
dulu.
Semuanya juga ya, untuk
semuanya ya dok ya.
Untuk semuanya kalau misalnya mau maju review artikel atau tinjauan pustaka atau apapun, sebenarnya kita ada aturannya itu. Jadi untuk review artikel itu dia mencari dari mana aja. Jadi misalnya dia membuka mencari jurnal dari tahun berapa sampai dengan tahun berapa. Kemudian apa search engine-nya? Search engine-nya misalnya dari PubMed atau eMedicine dan lain-lain gitu. Itu disebutkan gitu ya. Kemudian didapatkan yang berhubungan dengan keyword yang kita cari tadi itu ada berapa. Dan itu yang kita buat tabel, kemudian tabel itu seperti yang di jurnal ini. Jadi bisa dilihat ya cara pembuatan review artikel. Kemarin juga saya baru diminta untuk review artikel dari jurnal ESMKI sebetulnya untuk mahasiswa S1. Itu juga saya lihat memang itu sudah ada batang tubuhnya, nanti akan saya share bagaimana cara menilai review artikel. Kemudian bagaimana cara ya dari penilaian itu bagaimana cara kita menulis review artikel ya, termasuk di sini ini sebenarnya kan sudah ditulis sama penulis review artikel ini, cuma tinggal dituangkan aja sebagai presentasi. Nah presentasi ini yang harus dibuat Ciamik, tabel tadi yang harusnya dimasukkan. Jadi Bu Handa nanti silahkan untuk belajarnya Bu Handa untuk presentasi berikutnya coba bikin tabel tadi dimasukkan, kemudian coba dijelaskan. Dari tabel itu, penjelasan itu yang bisa dibuat slide baru, paham ya? Tapi tabel itu dulu yang dimunculkan, kemudian Bu Handa bisa menganalisis dari tabel-tabel tersebut, perbedaannya apa sih antar tabel, antar penelitian dari tahun ke tahun yang sudah dilakukan, yang sudah pernah dilakukan. Kemudian nanti akan mendapatkan celah, di mana nanti penelitian ke depannya bisa jadi kita harusnya melakukan penelitian apa gitu. Ya walaupun memang kalau secara internasional harusnya yang mereview artikel itu adalah memang, jadi peneliti artikel ini siapa nih? Dr. Megat Razem dan Richa Cira Kalwasan ini adalah Dia dari divisi pulmonologi dan critical care Bangkok, Thailand, sama dari Malaysia juga ya. Ini ya. Nah, ini kemungkinan besar adalah di sini tidak disebutkan apakah dia asisten profesor ataupun yang lainnya, tapi kemungkinan besar dia memang sudah ahli di sini sehingga dia berani untuk mereview artikel ini. Dan dimasukkan ke dalam Asian Pacific Journal of Allergy and Immunology. Kita kalau misalnya mau tahu grade-nya si jurnal ini, nanti kita bisa cari ya, dia masuknya Scopus atau tidak, atau ya jadi ini tingkatan masuk jurnal itu juga ada, sehingga keabsahan dari artikel ini juga bisa kita perhitungkan. Itu Bu Handa ya.
Baik dokter.
Terima kasih Dokter Kanti. Ya.
Ya.
Dokter Farokah sudah ini dok, sudah cukup dok. Ya. Dilanjutkan dulu ke konten review ya, Dokter Rahma. Ya.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you,
Waalaikumsalam
Doctor,
warahmatullahi
for
wabarakatuh.
the chance given to me. Yes, like Dr. Farah and Dr. Kanti said that this review article is such a complete article for OSA and asthma. I have some questions about this article. The first question, it is mentioned that the using of steroid, topical or systemic steroid for patient in asthma or for nasal disease indirectly have correlation with OSA indirectly. But how should we do then for patients who have indication for steroid therapeutic, like for rhinosinusitis patient or asthma patient that topical or systemic? And then second question, children with OSA are preferred to get adenotonsillectomy procedure. Are there some conditions like age, body weight, or body mass index, or what for the patient, for the children? And if we don't do adenotonsillectomy in children with OSA, could it make the higher risk for the incidence of asthma in their adolescent or in their adult?
Clear enough, Dr. Penny? Question from Dr. Rahma.
Yes, doctor. Thank you, Dr. Rama. Question number 1 about using steroid. In this journal before, explain leukotriene receptor antagonists were also associated with positive result on obstructive sleep apnea in adult patient with concomitant allergic rhinitis. But current data are limited in the case of children, and this journal before not explain the change steroid. Question number 2. The prevalence, the rate prevalence between tonsillectomy for OSA 2 years to 8 years old. The coincidence with the peak age of tonsillar and adenoidal hypertrophy in children. For the indication for OSA to adenotomy to tonsillar or adenoid obstruction airway can sleep apnea. Because the asthma direct effect OSA with mechanical effect, OSA is not adenotonsillectomy will increase in airway resistance in asthmatic as a result of reduction in functional residual capacity and expiratory lung volume during sleep, so more upper airway collapse and causes worsening symptom of snoring and apnea in OSA patients.
Okay, Dr. Rahma.
Oke, dokter.
Did answer your question, Dr. Rahma?
Iya, dokter.
Enough?
Iya,
Okay.
iya, dokter.
For the next, we have Dr. Norma, ya? Dr. Norma and Dr. Ahmad, ya? I guess for Dr. Ahmad first, ya? Okay. For the reviewer.
Thank you for the opportunity, Doctor.
Yeah.
Reading. This morning is not the journaling, but the article reading. The first for the article review, Doctor. Method can explain, and the second question in the article appraisal in the second line in sample available in number from start to finish. The answer is yes. Can explain what answer is yes, Doctor? Because this is not the research but the article reading. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you for question, Dr. Ahmad. This journal is method use random control trial. This is the rate compared to group. Group 1 is give therapy, and group 2 as a group control, control, and number 2 research. I'm sorry Pak, yang nomor 2 bisa diulang pertanyaannya Pak?
Question in ethical appraisal. In the second question in ethical is in the number of sample available in number from start to finish. Your answer is yes. Can you explain what answer?
I think I will cut this question because this is not the real journal. This is the article review, yeah, review
Yes, Doctor.
article. So there's no critical appraisal.
For the next, Dr. Norma, ya? Okay. For translation reviewer, ya, and writing.
Thank you for the opportunity, Doctor. First, may I share my screen?
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. First, in this journal, I have to review the writing and the translation. On the cover, you can see the page number is seen in this cover. It should not be seen, and the obstructive sleep apnea is in English, and it should be in italic and capitalized H word, and then is a conjunction, and it should be written in lowercase. And the researchers doesn't need to be written down in the cover. And from there are a few English sentences that should be written in italic in page 3, 4, 5, and 11. I have already written noted in this word. And from the translating in the page 1, randomized control trial is more familiar uji acak terkontrol, and intensity is intensitas, not intensive. From page 6, there are picture in page 6 from and table from page 12, 13, and 15. It's better rewritten and in Indonesian. In page 10, frequent arousals is sering terbangun, not gairah yang sering, and sleep disorder breathing is gangguan nafas saat tidur. That's all from my review. Thank you.
Okay. Quite detailed for the reviewer, Dr. Norma. Perhaps Dr. Penny should do some correction, according to the Dr. Norma correction. Okay.
Baik, dokter.
Perhaps Dr. Kanti, is there any comment, Doctor? Yeah.
I think enough, Dr. Noriman. Thank you.
Yeah. For the other resident, is there any question? I will count in 3, 1, 2, 3. There's no question? Okay.
Maybe dari Dr. Faroka.
Dr. Faroka masih online beliau.
Sudah ini
ya. Tadi izin makannya duluan, Dokter.
Oh iya.
Okay, I think it's enough for today presentation, Dr. Penny. Dr. Kanti.
So we have to remind that, ini hanya untuk mengingatkan kembali ya, pembacaan hari ini untuk mengingatkan kembali bahwa yang namanya obstruktif sleep apnea, ini ada tentang asma, ada tadi tentang apa lagi tuh. Jadi banyak hal yang kita ketahui dari OSA ini sangat-sangat berhubungan dengan banyak sekali dengan patogenesis di mana-mana. Jadi bukan hanya obstruksi jalan nafas atas, tapi dia akan berpengaruh untuk ke bawah. Jadi one air, one disease, kita sebutnya apa? Jadi United Airway Disease, United Airway Disease itu sudah semakin dikenal di masyarakat. THT pun bahkan sekarang kita sudah bukan grupnya, bukan hanya sesama THT lagi, tapi kita sudah bergabung dengan spesialis paru, dengan spesialis-spesialis lainnya. Karena apa? Karena United Airway Disease ini tadi. Sehingga memang THT ini sungguh-sungguh luas sebenarnya ya. Jadi jangan pernah berkecil hati, kita bukan hanya tonsilektomi saja urusan kita, bukan hanya masalah maksilektomi saja, bukan hanya masalah operasi saja, tapi juga banyak yang harus kita perhatikan di sini, di mana airway jalan nafas pertama itu dari THT. Bahkan ya yang COVID sekarang juga diketahui ya jalur masuknya adalah terutama droplet, yaitu ya jalurnya dari THT, dari hidung, dari mukosa mulut ya. Mungkin mukosa mata tapi jarang, namun yang sangat dilindungi masker itu melindungi adalah daerah THT gitu, ya kan. Nah itu yang harusnya kita sadari bahwa THT ini sangat-sangat penting untuk dikembangkan gitu. Karena Iman.
Oke, thank you dokter. Nah, berarti cukup banyak ya dok ya yang harus kita pelajari ya dok ya.
Termasuk psikologi dokter.
Komprehensif ya.
Komprehensif banget.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Dr. Kanti, for the comment. Perhaps Dr. Penny can close this today presentation, Dr. Penny. Yeah.
And fix the correction in 2 weeks.
You have a lot homework, 3 homework from Dr. Farokah, and also for the next presentation, you should prepare more, not only reading the journal, but also another literature, especially connected with the journal. Okay, I think it's enough. Okay, Dr. Penny.
Thank you for all supervisor, Dr. Kanti, ENT specialist, consultant, and Dr. Nur Iman Nugroho, ENT specialist, and all fellow resident for attending this journal department reading. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.